Judo. I'm here with Wolves reporter Mr. Liam Keane. Wow, Liam. Bournemouth won, Wolves won. Bournemouth go through 5-4 on penalties. It is... I'm drained, you're drained. It is an insane game of football. I think we've got to start with Matheus Cunha because that is the talking point. That is the headline going into this game, finishing this game. Matheus Cunha sent off a brilliant, incredible, stunning strike to pull them level, going into extra time, and he has completely lost his head with Kirkes. A headbutt, to be honest, could have been sent off before that, even without the headbutt. Wolves are out of this game, they're out of the competition, but they will lose now their talisman for the next 3 games and potentially more. It is an absolute disaster.
Yeah, I mean, the good, the bad and the ugly. He is a world-class footballer that scored a remarkable goal to get Wolves level, and at the very end, in the 119th minute, he's cost his team. Put this game to one side. Regardless of this game, because he would have taken a penalty, so he's cost his team to some degree in this game. But let's put this game to one side for one moment. He will now be banned for Everton at home, Southampton away, West Ham at home as a minimum. Now his other red card, which was Ipswich at home back in December, was retrospective. It wasn't a red card at the time, it was a ban retrospectively, which again, we're not certain yet. I want to make this clear, we're not certain because we're recording this straight after full time, but I think that means it will only be a 3-game ban. It won't be any more than that. If it was a red card at the time, then it would have been an extra game on top. Now it would have been 4. So I think it'll be 3, but regardless, it's minimum 3, and if it's any more than that, it's obviously even more. It goes to Ipswich, and it's an absolute disaster. It's a disaster anyway, because he is so good and so important to this team, but he's got that behaviour in him. We've seen it previously, we've seen it in his body language,
we've seen it today on the pitch,
and we've seen it today on the pitch. Frankly, it's embarrassing, and he's let his teammates and his manager down badly, and more importantly than anything, he's let the fans down badly, and I hope fans realise that. Really, really, really poor. He will now miss 3 really important games as the best player in this side, and Wolves have to try and stay in the Premier League without him for at least the next 3 games, and it could not have ended any worse. Wolves lost the game, played 120 minutes of football, and lost Matheus Cunha to a red card for violent conduct. The only way it could have been worse is if someone got a bad injury, and I mean that is as bad as it gets basically. An almost pointless exercise here for this Wolves team that have got bigger fish to fry coming in the next few weeks.
A pointless exercise where Wolves were on the cusp of doing something absolutely fantastic, because 3 or 4 minutes before the end of the match, they've got 11 versus 11. They've got a chance on penalties, like you say, with Doc missing a penalty and people who probably wouldn't have taken one of those penalties. They've got a chance of being 1 game away from a cup semi-final at Wembley and a great chance in the league. You could not have written a worse script. You could not have written it. Matheus Cunha, you could say it to a lot of people that Matheus Cunha, Wolves are in this chat. They're in with a chance of staying in the Premier League because of Matheus Cunha this season, and that's not lost on us. But at the same time, they're in. He's put their Premier League survival. And it's massively at risk. It's absolutely horrendous.
When you're that good and you're that important to a team, and he knows how important he is to the team, you can't act like that.
No.
You can't act like that regardless. But with no disrespect to any other player in that Wolves squad, let alone 11, if it was them that do that, yes, it's irresponsible, unacceptable and ridiculous, but it doesn't have as big an impact on the team. Matheus Cunha knows how important he is to this team. He knows how good he is, which is part of the problem.
And he shows it on the pitch, doesn't he? Because you can see it off the ball, you can see it with some of his body language. It's not great, isn't it? And I think when you're the best player in the side, you can almost get away with that. But what you cannot do is react in the way that he's done there, because that's what Bournemouth want. They know if they get to your talisman, then you're banging trouble, and that's exactly what I cannot believe he's made that decision. He'll obviously make an apology. I'm sure he'll speak to the players. He'll speak to the coaches. He'll stand up in the dressing room, but it doesn't wash with me. That's not good enough. I don't care. I'm not gonna give him any grace for doing that. Like, you cannot, when you've already done this at Ipswich, when you've been pulled away, when you've got retrospective bans. We've had this warning. You've got to learn from your mistakes. He has not learned from his mistakes, and that is an absolutely unforgivable sin.
And in similar sort of fashion to the Ipswich incident, he gets dragged off the pitch.
Bentley, Lima.
Dan Bentley's got his arm around him and he starts having a go at Bentley, get off me. He's trying to get back on there and have a go at people. It's just, once the head goes, he really does lose it and he can't control it. And that's one of his biggest problems. And we've said this for a long time. As a footballer, he's more than good enough to go and play. And he will leave the club in the summer. Someone will trigger that release.
Of course they will, yeah, regardless of his disciplinary issues.
Regardless of that, he's good enough to play at the very, very, very highest level.
But if he wants to do that, people will look at that and go, I don't want to get
as an individual making those kind of errors and those kind of errors of judgment, he will struggle at a big club if he does that. You can't do that at Man United, at Liverpool. It's not acceptable at Wolverhampton Wanderers, but the national media and everyone else won't bother about that. They'll look at it when he goes to Man United, to Arsenal, to Liverpool, and you can't do that. And it's ridiculous. And
you think this is pressure? FA Cup 5th round away at Bournemouth.
Nailed it.
You're playing Champions League football. You're playing Europe. Europe Wednesday night, Thursday night. You've got the pressure on you. You've got fans, a fan base who want the best from you every single week. You want to act like that? Not a chance.
And by the way, I just play devil's advocate very slightly, and I'll explain why I'm doing this. The pressure is very high. Wolves are in a relegation battle. He knows how important he is. He knows he has to perform. Let's be honest, on quite a few occasions, if he doesn't perform, Wolves tend to lose games because he's that important.
Yeah.
So that pressure is really high. That will take its toll. I understand that will take its toll. He's only human at the end of the day, but you've hit the nail on the head. It's 5th round away at Bournemouth. No disrespect to the competition or to the opposition, but this is not the Champions League final. If you want to talk pressure, go to Ipswich and play in Wolves' relegation battle,
which we hope he is going to.
Which we're hoping he'll play in that game because Wolves are going to need him in that game. Go to Southampton, which he's now going to miss. Everton at home, 8 o'clock kickoff under the lights. I'm on you. He's now going to miss.
He's put a lot of pressure on these other guys here who have worked bloody hard, by the way, to keep themselves in a game of football against Bournemouth, who are a fantastic side, and they've done brilliant that second half. I thought Bournemouth obviously shaded the game, of course, but to get back into the game, of course, from a brilliant strike, which no one's going to talk about now because it's a sensational strike. So it's a brilliant piece of genius. But like you say, he's a flawed genius at this moment in time. And look, in terms of the game, Wolves got themselves into, regardless of the Cunha sending off, a chance where Matt Doherty's over the ball, puts it in the back of the net, and Wolves are through to the quarter-final. And this isn't all forgotten, of course not, but we'll worry about that afterwards. They're in a quarter-final. He misses, and then
and also if Wolves had got through, he'd have missed the quarter-final. Now the quarter-final is still a massive game.
Yeah, of course it is, but
that's
one Premier League game
less Premier League game that he misses. So that's why it's even worse.
Boubacar Traoré obviously hits the crossbar as well, and that's it. It's such a shame. Sinisterra puts the ball away. Sam Johnson will probably want a couple of those penalties back as well. But they got themselves into a penalty shootout, and they deserve to get themselves into a penalty shootout. It's just a shame they couldn't finish the job. And like you say, one of those penalty takers was off the pitch.
Exactly. I think Wolves defended really well actually to get themselves to that penalty shootout. There was desperate stuff at times. Totti made a few clearances. Totti's a weird one today because he had an absolute torrid time against Semenyo for probably 75-8% of it, and then made some unbelievable moments to keep Wolves in the game. I thought Santi Bueno did okay. I thought Wolves defended. I mean, it was obvious from extra time. They were told, sit back, defend. Couldn't stay up on his own, get yourself to penalties.
Alfie Pond, right wing back extraordinaire.
He actually did quite well in the second half extra time, to be fair to him, and he took his chance. But Bournemouth were the better side. The better side went through, but Wolves dug in. They showed a bit of character. They got themselves to that penalty shootout, and as you say, they missed one of their really key penalty takers. So Doc's missed that 5th one to take Wolves through. You can guarantee I remember Matheus Cunha taking that. Now I think Doc probably would have taken one anyway. Maybe maybe Andre would have come out.
But you move everyone back, don't you?
Totti, maybe.
Yeah, but then you could say that Boubacar Traoré probably doesn't take a penalty if Cunha's on the pitch.
But Cunha would have taken that 5th penalty. I'm sure of it. I don't think he would have been first. He would have been 5th. It would have been the moment to win it, the moment to take the glory. He'd have been 5th, and he wasn't there. I've got no ill will at all against the two guys that missed the penalties.
It takes balls to step up.
It takes balls to go up there and do it. Of all people, for Doc to miss it, I'm kind of glad, and I'll explain what I mean, because I know he can take it. He's an experienced guy. He's got a good mentality. He's got a good head on his shoulders. He'll recover from it. Boubacar Traoré, I'm disappointed for him because it's really unlucky as well. Hits the crossbar, then hits Kepa's back as he comes out. Really unlucky. Johnson makes a brilliant save to give Wolves the chance to win it, but then the one before that as well, he could have saved, and it goes through. Wolves were really, really close, and I'm disappointed for the two lads that missed. They'll come through it and they'll be fine, but Wolves have got bigger fish to fry. That's the Premier League survival. level, and they're going to do it without their best player.
The story is not Bournemouth going through on penalties today. It's the
Yeah.
ramifications
Yeah.
of what has happened
Absolutely.
that we've just seen happen in front of us.
Unfortunately, we don't want Matheus Cunha in the headlines for this. We want him in the headlines for scoring goals that keep Wolves in the Premier League, or get Wolves through to the next round of the FA Cup. He'd have been the headline maker today. He'd scored that unbelievable goal.
Yeah.
He'd have scored the winning penalty, the fifth one, taken Wolves through, and he'd be the man that we're talking about in a positive light. But because of his actions, now I do need to see a replay just to see exactly what Kirkes does. I do think Kirkes has probably goaded him.
Oh, of course he does.
But it's because the players know. Players know.
Absolutely.
Players know. And why
They're
wouldn't
smart.
they? Wolves,
Absolutely.
If this was the other way around, Wolves would do the exact same thing.
100%.
They know that he's got a tendency to flip. They've goaded him. He's instantly reacted. It looks to me like...
You can see him steaming beforehand, by the way.
I need to see a replay again, but it looks like he raised his hands first, which would have been a red card anyway, and then he goes in with the
I don't think the headbutt would have... I think if he raised his hands and the headbutt wasn't there, I still think he's off the pitch.
Exactly. So and then goes in with the head, and there's no way. The referee gets it spot on. It's a red card and a booking for Kirkes. Completely agree with that decision from what I saw. Again, I want to watch another replay, but I do think that's the right decision. And for some reason, I say for some reason, all of a sudden out of nowhere with everything that's happened, we're not talking about VAR in that first half. I mean, it's been a day and a game with so many different storylines, and unfortunately, none of them positive from Wolves' perspective.
Wolves are at the FA Cup, but the ramifications are the most important thing today and the most devastating. For all the post-match reaction, make sure you log on to expressandstar.com.